We're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this Development Services Committee meeting to order. The Township of Oro-Medonte acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people and ancestral territory of the Huron-Wendat. The Anishinaabe include the Ottawa, the Ojibwe, and the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. It continues today as the home for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the historic Métis community in Penetanguishene. The Anishinaabe people continue to have an enduring relationship with this land, specifically the Chippewas of Rama First Nation, the Chippewa Tri-Council, and the Williams Treaties First Nations. The Huron-Wendat Nation also continues to pay respect and protect their ancestors and heritage on this land. We honor the Indigenous history and culture that has thrived for millennia in this territory and the treaties that bind us together as partners in a shared, sustainable, and prosperous future. We are all treaty people. Our commitment begins with acknowledging the truth so that we can move forward towards a reconciliation. Thank you very much. May we have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Moved by Young, seconded by Greenlaw. It is recommended that the agenda for the Development Services Committee meeting of Wednesday, July 5th, 2023 be received and approved.
All in favor? The motion is carried. Councillor Clark sends his regrets tonight due to an illness, so we all wish him well in that matter. However, we do have a quorum, so we will proceed. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest with regard to tonight's agenda? Okay, seeing none. May we have the motion to approve the minutes of the previous Development Services Committee meeting, please?
Moved by Hutchinson, seconded by Bard. It is recommended that the draft minutes of the Development Services Committee meeting held on Wednesday, June 7, 2023 be received and approved as printed and circulated.
Thank you very much. All in favor? The motion is carried. Okay, so I'm going to, first of all, just read an explanation of the process for everyone, and then after each of these, there'll be a reading of the individual procedures. Each application will be considered separately. The staff will advise of the purpose and effect of the application, provide any relevant information, note any correspondence that has been received to date, and advise of any statement received from the applicant or if the applicant intends to make a presentation. If so, the applicant will then be given the opportunity to make a brief presentation. After the presentation, any members of the public that have registered to provide comment or who are in the audience will be given the opportunity to speak to the application being considered. The Deputy Clerk will advise of those who have registered. And finally, staff will confirm if any further correspondence has been received during the public hearing. There will be a separate statement to be read at the start of each scheduled public meeting and hearing, as they are each separate legal processes. Thank you very much. So the first of today's applications is a meeting. Bylaw Amendment Application 2023 ZBA 07. Applicant is Wes Reynolds, and the location is 72 Line 9 North. This public meeting is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comment with respect to the proposed application by Wes Reynolds on lands municipally known as 72 Line 9 North. Please be advised that this meeting is being digitally recorded for the purpose of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the proposed application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been any correspondence on this matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Manager, Development Engineering, June 14, Operations Division, June 14, Ministry of Transportation, June 15, Enbridge Gas, June 27, Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority, June 27, Township of Oro-Medonte Building Division, June 28, and County of Simcoe Planning Department, June 28, 2023.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Michael Barton, Township Planning Consultant, who will explain the purpose and effect of the proposed application and any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Barton, please proceed.
Thank you very much. So as noted, this is an application for zoning bylaw amendment, the property being 72 Line 9 North. We can see on the screen in front of us the location of the property. So the current zoning is a mix of agricultural, rural, and environmental protection. Under the township official plan, there is a mix of agricultural, environmental protection 1, and environmental protection 2 designation on this property. It's currently used for commercial use, which is a Christmas tree farm. Next slide, please. So the purpose of the application is to amend the zoning bylaw for a portion of the property. So a portion that is designated agricultural rural today, it will be redesignated to an agricultural rural exception zone to permit an on-farm diversified use. That use would occupy a 1.3 hectare portion of the land, and it will also include the existing 900 square meter detached building that is on the property. Currently, approximately half of the existing building is used for equipment associated with the Christmas tree farm that's on the property. The balance of this structure, the additional 50%, is proposed to be used for a separate unit. The uses that have been identified by the applicant include a storage warehouse, an online business, a small assembly, dock sales, an electrician or plumber's office. So the proposed amendment would also include provisions that, notwithstanding table B4, there would be site-specific performance standards that related to those specific uses. Next slide, please. So we have an aerial photo of the property. As we can see, it has a presence along both Highway 11 and Line North. A considerable portion is environmental protection area. So the component we'll see on the next slide is located towards the south end of the property, close proximity to Highway 11. Next slide, please. So under the current zoning designation, so we can see here the mix of designations that are on the property, but the portion of the property subject to this application is designated agricultural rural. Next slide, please. Under the current official plan for the township, the property is designated agricultural, as we can see on the left slide, or the left figure. In the middle, we can see under the adopted land use that the property would remain in the agricultural designations with the green lands overlaid on a significant portion of the property. And then under the county official plan, the portion of the property in question is agricultural designation. Next slide, please. The site plan provided by the applicant here is shown here. So we can see the portion that's located along the southerly limits there adjacent to Highway 11. We can see the existing building shown there. This is the building that's shown to be 50% existing uses and then to be 50% new commercial uses. And we'll also see the nature of this site in photos in this slideshow. Next slide, please. Again, more detailed slide provided by the applicant, again showing the lands to be rezoned to the site's specific exception relative to the balance of the property. Next slide, please. So we can see today as we're looking east along Highway 11, west along Highway 11, and then looking towards the subject property from Highway 11. So you can see on that photo on the right-hand side, the structure that we're speaking about. I will see that closer in the next photo. Next slide, please. This is the frontage along Highway 9. On the left-hand side, looking north along Highway 9. In the middle, we can see as we're looking south along Highway 9. And then this is where the notice sign was posted for the complete application. Next slide, please. So here we're looking into the property. This is the lands that would be subject to this application. We can see the current structure on the property and the cleared area that has been developed for that existing commercial use. Next slide, please. So then on the left, we see the laneway that comes into the property. The center figure shows the tree farm, and then you can see that structure on the left-hand side in the distance, and then on the right side, we can see the existing tree farm that's on the property today. Next slide, please. This is the property as developed for the existing commercial use. We can see the parking and vehicle operation area on the left side, and the existing structure on the right-hand side. This is again the building that would provide the existing use in conjunction with the new uses sought through this application. Next slide, please. Again, we have alternate views here. So the left side looking north, and again, another view looking towards Highway 11, and gives you a sense of what's on the property today relative to the balance of the property. Next slide, please. Again, we can see if we're looking towards on line 9 in both of these slides, again, existing condition on the property in terms of its current use and the structure that is there today. Next slide, please. So as noted, we are receiving comments now from various agencies and departments. We'll be putting together our thoughts on that, providing this applicant no decision to be made tonight. So we'll be continuing to review the application and the comments received as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barton. And just for a matter of the record, I wanted to comment that any reference to Highway 9 in the commentary refers to line 9. I'll now ask Celeste Phillips, who is registered to speak to the application, if she wishes to provide any comment or to indicate if she has any further to be added to the staff presentation. Ms. Phillips, please.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I'm here this evening with Wes Reynolds and his partner, Jen. I am a land use planning consultant. I will speak to you very briefly because you've had a very thorough presentation. The pre-application meeting for this rezoning was held in February, and the application was filed in April. And as mentioned, there's already an existing building. You've seen the pictures of that. What's interesting is that an on-farm diversified use is a defined term in the provincial policy statement. And the tests are that it needs to be compatible and shall not hinder surrounding agricultural operations. But what's I find interesting is that the use does not need to relate to the agricultural use of the property now. So we know that there's a tree farm there. Half of the building is being used for functioning as part of the tree farm, but the other half of the building can be used and does not need to relate in any way to the tree farm activity. So we have a structure that already exists. It was legally constructed. There have been no adverse impacts to the Christmas tree farm or other surrounding agricultural uses. And then that same definition of a non-farm diversified use is carried forward in your official plan and the county official plan. And it comes actually from the guidelines on permitted uses in agricultural areas. And there are 5 criteria, which I've gone through in my plan justification report. And so I'm here this evening to respectfully request your support for the rezoning application. And we're here to answer questions if need be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Phillips. I'd just like to ask to the committee, do you have any comments with regard or any questions with regard to this this hearing of the proponent or the applicant or our staff? Okay, seeing none. Madam Deputy Clerk, is there anyone registered to speak via Zoom or in person for this meeting?
No, Mr. Deputy Mayor, there were no additional registrations received.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone here in attendance from the public wishing to speak to this matter? Okay, seeing none. Has there been any additional correspondence received, Madam Deputy Clerk?
To the Deputy Mayor, no, there have been no
sorry.
additional comments received during the meeting via email.
Thank you very much, Mr. Whitlow. Any final comments or questions from council? Seeing none, I wish to thank everybody for their participation this evening. Your written and oral comments will be considered going forward in this matter, and a copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant and agent, anyone who has submitted comments on behalf of this application. So thank you very much, and we'll move along to the next application. So item 6B in the agenda, excuse me, yeah, we're going to go, is it 6B next? Sorry. Forgive me. Okay, this application is 2023A25, Tamara Scarcey or Searcy? Scarce. Okay, there were many opportunities there. Thank you very much. 8 Fairway Court. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comment with respect to the proposed application by Tamara Scarce on lands municipally known as 8 Fairway Court. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the proposed application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been any correspondence on this matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte, Manager of Development Engineering, June 23rd. Hiawatha First Nation, June 26th. Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, June 26th. And Building Division, dated June 28, 2023.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Andy Karaskakis, Senior Planner, who will explain the purpose and effect of the proposed application and any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Karaskakis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Minor variance application 2023A25 is for lands located at 8 Fairway Court. The subject property has a lot area of 0.21 hectares and currently contains a single detached dwelling and a shed. The subject property is zoned residential 1 in accordance with the township zoning bylaw and is designated low-density residential in the Horseshoe Valley Settlement Area. The applicant is proposing to build a detached accessory building, which will incorporate a carport and a shed. The applicant is seeking relief to the following section of zoning bylaw 9795, and it's from section 5.1.3A, permitted locations for detached accessory buildings. The zoning bylaw does not permit them to be located in the front yard, whereas the applicant is proposing to locate the detached building in the front yard with a setback of 11.5 meters from the front lot line. Air photo here showing the subject property outlined in red. It's located kind of at the corner of Fairway Court there. So there is some frontage along the bend there on Fairway Court, and then further frontage along the longer side of Fairway Court there. And it narrows down the further back it goes into the lot. Existing zoning, subject property is outlined in purple, which is kind of near the bottom section of that zoning map there on your screen. The township official plans, the current official plan on the left side there shows it in the secondary plan area of Horseshoe Valley. The center image there is the adopted official plan land use, designated low density residential, in conformity with the current official plan. And the counties of Simcoe's official plan designates these lands in a settlements designation. The applicant provided a site plan. So this image here shows outlined in red the footprint of the proposed detached accessory building. The larger portion there is the carport, and a smaller section there will be for the storage shed there. And difficult to read there, but there are distance and setbacks from the front lot line of Fairway Court there. This aerial image here kind of just overlays the applicant's site plan, the location of the proposed garage there, the carport and shed in relation to the subject property. So proximity to the subject, to the existing dwelling, and also to the property lines. The applicant also provided elevation drawings. The image here shows the front left side and rear elevations of the proposed carport and storage shed there. The floor plan shows two bay for vehicles there, and the access into a storage shed from the carport and also from the exterior. Couple of shots here looking north and south along Fairway Court in front of the subject property. And also looking west along the shorter frontage of Fairway Court there. And the image on the right there is the notice sign posted in accordance with the Planning Act. Couple of images here showing the view of the existing dwelling from the road, and also view of the property from the roadside there, kind of in the proximate location of where the detached building is to be located. Couple of more images here showing the location of the proposed carport and shed. Gives a little bit more context of the surrounding character surrounding the subject property and the proposed garage. So planning staff have reviewed the minor variance application and are recommending approval of the detached accessory building on the basis that the application meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act and conforms to and is consistent with provincial, county, and township policies, subject to the conditions outlined on the screen in front of you. Mr. Deputy Mayor, that concludes my presentation. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Karaiskakis. I'd now ask the applicant, Tamara Scares, and Jan Novak, excuse me, who are registered to speak to the application if they wish to provide any comment or indicate if they have anything further to add to the staff's presentation. Please, thank you very much. Just state your name for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Tamara Scares. The designated speaker for me is Jan Novak as my partner, because he has much more experience in building than I do. So I'll let him speak.
Thank you. The application is made for not additional parking. The current parking location on our property is, when we purchased it, is actually paved area already where the vehicles are parked currently, but it have absolutely no protection from the environment. When we made a addition onto our property, when we expanded the standalone or the detached garage, the single garage, we made it into a double garage that doubles up as a studio for the Images Studio Tour. And our art business has grown to the point that our vehicles are now parked outside permanently. We do art on stone, pretty heavy product, and it's all stored inside the current garage where the door was open in one of the slides. We also have the embankment or the property line between us and Eastern residential property. There's 12-foot ornamental grasses and also hydrangea bushes that are pretty well the same height now. You can't even see the vehicles from the road. So the new construction we're applying for, the back height of the building is only 9 feet. And the front is 12 and change, 12.3 or something like that. It does not change the height of the growth that's surrounding the current parking spot. We have the property that we have when it was built, we're on a river spy and the building is set to the back. We're sort of snookered. We can't go left, we can't go right, we can't go back. So and that's why we're here. We're basically applying for a carport provision so we can put it in the front. We have contacted, I would say 90% of the neighbors. I mean, in-face communication was no opposition to it whatsoever, but we're not quite aware if anybody opposed the application. It's open for questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any questions for staff or from the applicant on behalf of the committee? Councillor Hutchison?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Not a question, more just a statement. I had the pleasure of meeting with Jan the other day and was able to have a good look at the property myself, and it does make sense given the nature of the lot that they are on. They do not have any other opportunity to place a carport or add to the building that they have currently. And I also did have an interaction with their neighbor right to the eastern side of their property. The neighbor has absolutely no issue with the carport being built as well. And I would recommend that we move ahead with this application.
Thank you very much for those comments, Councillor Hutchison. Any further commentary? Okay. Thank you very much. We may call you back, but you may be seated for the moment. Madam Deputy Clerk, is there anyone who's registered to speak via Zoom or in person?
No, there were no additional registrations received.
Thank you very much. And I presume is there anybody here in the gallery to speak to this matter? I see not. Okay. With that, then, Director Whitlib, has there been any further commentary or communication received on this matter?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Okay. I guess there's no further matters from council. Thank you very much. No, I'm seeing none. Thank you. Madam Deputy Clerk, may we hear the motion, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Hutchinson. It is recommended, one, that DS 2023-059, Catherine McCarroll, Intermediate Planner, Reminor Variance Application 2023-A25, Tamara Scarce, 8 Fairway Court, be received and adopted. 2, that minor variance application 2023-A25, specifically for permission to build a detached accessory building, carport, and shed in the front yard with a setback of 11.5 meters, 37.7 feet from the front lot line on lands municipally known as 8 Fairway Court, Township of Oro-Medonte, be approved, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2023-059. 3, that the applicant be advised of the committee's decision under the Secretary Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? The motion is carried. Please enjoy your carport. The committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for your participation, and a copy of the decision will be mailed out to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has participated or submitted written comments or oral comments during the hearing in regards to this application. Thank you. On to item 6B. Application 2023-A26, Kent Tresham, 13 Orser Drive. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the proposed application by Kent Tresham on lands municipally known as 13 Orser Drive. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the proposed application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been any correspondence received on this matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Manager, Development Engineering, June 23rd, Operations Division, June 26th, and Building Division, June 28, 2023.
Thank you very much. I would now ask the agent, Bobby Leppington, who is registered to speak to the I'll turn the meeting over to Derek Whitlib first, Director of Development Services, who will explain the purpose and effect of the proposed application and any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Whitlib, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the chair indicated, this is an application for minor variance at 13 Orser Drive. It's on a property that's located within the Prices Corners settlement area. The lands are zoned residential 1, and the lands contain a single detached dwelling, so they're in residential use. What the applicant is seeking in this case are 3 variances, and they're for the purposes of constructing an addition to an accessory building that's located on the property, and the addition is proposed to contain an accessory dwelling unit. And specifically, the variances that the applicant is seeking, firstly, it's a variance to permit human habitation in an accessory building, whereas the zoning bylaw currently does not permit such a use. The applicant is also seeking a relief of the zoning bylaw's maximum permitted height of 4.5 meters or 14.7 feet. And what is proposed is a height increase to 4.9 meters or 16.1 feet. And lastly, the applicant is seeking an increase to the maximum permitted lot coverage, which the zoning bylaw currently caps at 5%, whereas the applicant is proposing a 7.3% lot coverage. Oh, sorry, additional variances, my apologies. The maximum floor area of the accessory building is capped in the zoning bylaw currently at 70 square meters or 753.5 square feet. And what's being proposed is a combined total of 171.1 square meters or 1,841.5 square feet. A couple of other sort of technical requirements. So currently the permission in the zoning bylaw is to permit accessory apartments to be located within a single detached dwelling. In this case, as I've mentioned, the unit is proposed to be located in a detached accessory building. And the floor area of the apartment itself, the zoning bylaw caps it at 70 square meters or 753.5 square feet. And what is proposed is a floor area of 87.4 square meters or 941.07 square feet. The next slide that you're looking at is an aerial image. The subject property is outlined in red. You can see there's a dwelling on the property, and below the dwelling to the south is that existing accessory building to which the addition is proposed to be added. Just quick run through some of the planning documents. This map just simply illustrates the zoning. So as indicated earlier, the lands which are outlined in the purple dashed line are located in the residential 1 zone. That zone permits, of course, residential uses. It also permits accessory buildings, and it also permits accessory apartments inside dwellings. And in this case, part of the relief being sought is for the accessory apartment to be located in the detached accessory building by way of the addition. These 3 slides are just comparisons of the current township official plan, the adopted official plan, which is pending approval, and the county of Simcoe official plan, all of which identify the subject lands as being within a rural settlement area. The slide we're looking at now is the applicant's site plan. So again, you can see the existing dwelling shown in the diagonal hatch pattern and labeled accordingly. Below that, you can see in diagonal hatching the outline of the existing detached accessory building labeled existing garage. And in the brick pattern hatching is the proposed addition. And the next slides will give us an elevation idea of what the structure might look like. So the existing detached garage has a hip roof barn type look to it. And the addition coming off to the side is shown in terms of front, rear, and side elevations shown on the screen. Couple of views up and down Orser Drive. You can see it's a low density residential neighborhood, generous front yards and landscaping. Public notice sign was posted in front of the subject land, satisfying that portion of the Planning Act. These are just views on the left side is that detached accessory building, the garage to which the addition is proposed, and to the right, the image shows the dwelling on the lands as viewed from Orser Drive. Couple of additional views. So again, we see that detached garage. The proposed addition would be located on the, if we're looking at it now, on the left side of the garage, so occupying the area where you see that utility trailer parked on the property. And the image on the right just simply is there to show the relationship of the existing detached garage to the dwelling on the property, and you can see it's well behind the dwelling. Couple more views, again, sort of from the streetscape, giving a conceptual idea of what the views might look like and how, depending on the angle, the existing garage is already partially obscured from the street. That brings us to the staff recommendation. I won't go into detail unless there are questions from the committee, but staff have reviewed the minor variance against the 4 tests of the Planning Act. We do find that it meets all 4 tests, and we find it to be good planning and recommend that the application be approved as submitted. Those are my comments, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Director Whitlib. I'll now ask the agent Bobby Leppington, who is registered to speak to the application, if Bobby wishes to provide anything further or add to the staff presentation. Please go ahead, Bobby.
Good evening, Chair and committee members. I do have a short presentation. It'll take about 4 minutes of your time. My name is Bobby Leppington, and I'm here on behalf of the owners. Next slide, please. So you can just see on the site plan that we're in the back, the southwest corner, and that we've put the addition on the interior of the garage, trying to buffer both the neighbors and the existing house. We're proposing a new septic as part of the renovation to permit the apartment dwelling as well. Next slide, please. This is just a view of what it will look like, showing that original barn style roof with the existing heights, and then coming off on the left side with an addition, and just giving you an idea of what the structure is going to look like. Next slide, please. This is an interior view, and you can see the sloped ceilings on the left, and that comes into play with an ask in the minor variance. If I can have the next slide, please. There's a sloped ceilings, both front to rear of the addition and the existing sloped ceilings. We have to meet the Ontario Building Code for minimum height of 7'7" over a certain area. And on the right side of this diagram, you can see the low headroom attic space and the slope in the closet that's going to give us that low headroom. Well, it counts into our square footage for planning. It doesn't count into our square footage for allowable building area in the building code. So we're asking for an increase in size simply to meet those requirements. And again, that the height's already existing. Can I have the next slide, please? And just showing you a cross section on the right side of that low headroom that we are not able to use for the overall size of the rooms that are required by the Ontario Building Code. And the last slide. I feel we meet the intent of the zoning bylaw and official plan. We fit the characteristic of the neighborhood, and our variances are minor in nature. And I'm asking for request for your approval, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Leppington. Are there any questions for either Ms. Leppington or Director Whitlib? Mayor Greenlaw.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm just wondering, when you said there'll be a new septic system, will there be two then on the property, or are you rebuilding the septic system to handle the flow rate of both dwelling units, or are they separate?
At this time, we're proposing one septic to handle both flow rates. There'll be a tank located just to the east of the garage addition that will pump around to the front yard to the new septic bed.
Okay, thank you. And supplemental, please. And just one second question directed towards Mr. Whitlib, and it's mainly for those watching from home, or is in regards to, can you give some clarity as to now how were your recommendations to approve of habitation in a detached accessory building, which commonly is not permitted within our current bylaws?
Thank you, Your Worship, through the chair to the rest of the committee. So as I indicated earlier, the township's current zoning bylaw, which dates back to 1997 in its origins, contains permissions for most zones in which single detached dwellings are permitted. It allows those zones, those dwellings to, as of right, have a 70 square meter or 753.5 square foot apartment within the dwelling, or as an addition to the dwelling. And that typically meets the requirements, enables someone to construct the equivalent of a one-bedroom apartment already. So that's an as-of-right permission already in the zoning bylaw. It would, of course, need a building permit. In this case, what the applicants are proposing, as I indicated, is to achieve that apartment by way of an addition to the detached accessory building. The permission still exists for an apartment to be located in a dwelling, but because they're already providing the apartment, proposing to provide the apartment in the accessory building, further relief would be required to permit a second additional apartment for a total of 3 units. As the committee knows, there's certainly support within the planning legislation, specifically the Planning Act, for additional apartments. In cases where lands are fully serviced, meaning full municipal piped water and municipal piped sewer, municipalities essentially may not prohibit and shall permit up to 3 units, a main dwelling, an apartment in the dwelling, and an apartment in an accessory building if proposed. That requirement does not immediately apply or automatically apply to lands such as these, which are privately serviced by way of private septic systems or wells. However, in situations where the lands can be serviced privately, where there's adequate space for the use, for parking, for amenity area, for the residents, etc., can be accommodated, the township can consider and has considered in the past and approved variances and or zoning bylaw amendments as applicable to permit additional units in accessory buildings. Moving forward, we probably expect to see more of these, and as the committee is aware, the township's adopted official plan, which is pending approval, has additional policies for permissions for additional residential units, as well as the performance standards surrounding them.
Okay. Thank you very much for that clarity.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Director Whitlib, for that. Are there any further questions from the committee for staff or Ms. Leppington? Seeing none. Madam Deputy Clerk, is there anybody registered to speak to this matter from the public?
No, there were no additional registrations received.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience who's... No, there is not. Seeing none. Any additional correspondence received, Director Whitlib, during the course of the hearing?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. The committee members will discuss the application and deliberate on staff's recommendation and consider the matters before reaching a decision. And I presume that there are no further questions from the committee itself. Okay, thank you very much. Madam Deputy Clerk, may we please have the motion?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Shell. It is recommended, one, that DS 2023-060, Catherine McCarroll, Intermediate Planner, minor variance application 2023-A26, Kent Tresham, 13 Orser Drive, be received and adopted. Two, that minor variance application 2023-A26, specifically for permission to build an addition to the existing detached accessory building with an increased height of 4.9 meters, 16.1 feet, increased lot coverage of 7.3%, increased floor area of 171.1 square meters, 1,841.5 square feet, and containing an apartment dwelling unit with an increased floor area of 87.4 square meters, 941.07 square feet on lands municipally known as 13 Orser Drive, Township of Oro-Medonte, be approved, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2023-060. Three, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? The motion is carried. This completes the application process and closes the hearing. The committee wishes to thank all those for their participation, and a copy will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or provided oral comments during the hearing in regards to the application. Thank you. On to item 6C. Application number 2023-A27, Pashkevich, 475 line 15 south. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comment with respect to the proposed application by Peter and Cheryl Pashkevich on lands municipally known as 475 line 15 south. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the proposed application. Has there been any correspondence received on this matter, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, June 22nd, Manager of Development Engineering, June 23rd, Building Division, June 28th, and Elgin McGurchie, dated July 4th, 2023.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Andy Karaskakis, Senior Planner, who will explain the purpose and effect of the proposed application and any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Karaskakis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Minor variance application 2023-A27 has been submitted for lands located at 475 line 15 south. The subject property is located on the east side of line 15 south between the rail trail and Woodland Drive, and has a lot area of 0.81 hectares. It contains a single detached dwelling, a shed, and several tent structures. The subject property is zoned agricultural rural in the township zoning bylaw and is designated restricted rural in the official plan. The applicants are proposing to build a detached accessory building, a garage, and are seeking relief from the maximum floor area provisions of the zoning bylaw, where it's required a detached accessory building in the agricultural rural zone. The max floor area for that structure is 100 square meters or 1,076.4 square feet. And the applicants are proposing to construct a 111.4 square meters or a 1,200 square foot detached garage. Aerial image here shows the subject property in context with the budding property. So predominantly an agricultural area with scattered rural residential lots. As mentioned earlier, the subject property is zoned agricultural rural and is shown with a purple rectangle on that image in front of you. A couple of screenshots here looking at the three official plans, the current township's official plan, the adopted official plan, and the county's official plan. So the property is currently designated restricted rural in the current official plan, and the adopted official plan, which is still awaiting approval from the county, has the property designated greenlands, which is in conformity with the county's official plan being designated as greenlands. The applicant provided a site plan showing the existing structures on the property. So the on the left side of that image is the road allowance, line 15 south, and a circular driveway accessing the existing dwelling, and the shed at the rear corner. And the outlined in red there is the proposed location of the garage, which currently accommodates a couple of tent structures. The applicant also provided some elevation drawings showing the general layout of the proposed garage. So again, it's a 30 by 40 wide garage, which is about 1,200 square feet. And the height of the garage would be in conformity with the height provisions of the zoning bylaw. Few shots here looking north and south along line 15 south, and also the notice sign, which is posted in accordance with the Planning Act. This image here shows the view of the property from the roadside, looking into the property, showing the existing dwelling on the right and the tent structures on the left side. And the far distance there is an existing shed there as well. So the proposed detached garage to be located on the left side of the gravel driveway in the general location where the existing tents are. A couple of images here showing the location of the proposed garage. So the image on the left is looking north. And the committee can view that the property is heavily vegetated with mature trees, and a couple of those tent structures are to be removed to accommodate the proposed garage. And another shot on the right there, again looking at the location of the proposed garage in context of the surrounding area. A few images here showing the rear of the subject property. So again, heavily vegetated and treed. This is kind of looking at the back of the dwelling, looking at the rear of the subject property. And the image on the left here basically is standing approximately the location of the proposed garage, looking towards the road, and it's noted that there's some mature trees located along the frontage of the applicant's property. And the image on the right there showing the view from the garage, proposed location of the garage, of the back of the existing dwelling, and looking south. So planning staff have reviewed the minor variance application and are recommending approval subject to the standard conditions outlined on the screen in front of you and in the staff report, on the basis that the application meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act and conforms to or is consistent with applicable provincial, township, and county policies. That's my presentation. Mr. Deputy Mayor, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Karaskakis. I'll now ask the applicant, Cheryl Paskevich, who is registered to speak to the application, if she wishes to provide or indicate anything further to the staff presentation. Ms. Paskevich, please.
Can you hear me?
We can indeed. Thank you.
Okay. We would just like to make our property beautiful. And those tents are just not holding up, and we just want to make it as nice as possible. And that's why we would like to do this.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
My husband would like to say something.
Hello?
Yes, hello. How are you, Mr. Paskevich?
I'm well today. The other reason that we would like to build this garage is, A, we don't have anywhere to park our vehicles in the winter or during any time. And also our implements, we have lawnmowers an ATV, a boat motor, you know. And we felt that rather than covering them up with tarps all the time, a garage would be
A nice solution.
a nice solution. Exactly. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. It certainly tidy up the neighborhood.
That's what we're trying to do.
All right. Thank you. Is there any further are there any questions for either Director Whitlib or the Paskeviches? There appear not to be. Madam Deputy Clerk, is there anybody registered to speak to this application?
No, there were no additional registrations received.
Thank you very much. Director Whitlib, are there any further communications received?
There were no additional comments received during the meeting.
Thank you very much, sir. Are there any, one last chance, going once, going twice, any further questions from staff or from council? Thank you very much. May we now hear the motion, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Moved by Hutchinson, seconded by Young. It is recommended, one, that DS 2023-61, Andy Karaskakis, Senior Planner, Reminer Variance Application 2023-827, Peter and Cheryl Paskovich, 475 Line 15 South, be received and adopted. Two, that minor variance application 2023-827, specifically for permission to build a detached accessory building garage with an increase in floor area of 111.4 square meters, 1,200 square feet, on lands municipally known as 475 Line 15 South, Township of Oro-Medonte, be approved subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2023-61. Three, that the applicants be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? The motion is carried. Pack up those tents and build that structure. This completes the application process and closes the hearing. The committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for your participation, and a copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or provided oral comments during the hearing in regards to the application. Thank you. On to item 6C. Oh, perhaps that was 6C. 6D. Application 2023A28, Big Cedar Residents Association, Angus McDonald, 4044 Line 13 North on 25 Maple Crescent, a private road. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comment with respect to the proposed application by Big Cedar Residents Associations in the name of Angus McDonald on lands municipally known as 4044 Line 13 North on private road 25 Maple Crescent. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the proposed application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been correspondence received on this matter?
Correspondence from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, June 20, Manager of Development Engineering, June 23rd, Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, June 26, and Township of Oro-Medonte Building Division, dated June 28, 2023.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Danielle Waters, planner, who will explain the purpose and effect of the proposed application and any written statement received from the applicant. Ms. Waters, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So this is application 2023-A28. So it's for Big Cedar Estates, and the address in the estate is 25 Maple Crest. The zoning is environmental protection. The official plan designation is special purpose community area, and the current use is residential. So a couple variances here. So they're looking to enclose an existing carport that they have already, and then add a 3-season sunroom addition to the back of the dwelling. A good portion of Big Cedar is already built in the environmental protection zone. So this is something that we've gone through a couple variances for this large property for a couple different residences. So it's increasing the size of a non-complying structure in the environmental protection zone, and as well as a non-conforming use. Next slide. Here we can see the exact house within Big Cedar and where it's located. The existing zoning, so here we can see where is the environmental protection versus the agricultural rural zone of Big Cedar. All of the roads aren't exactly on there, but can kind of see it's about 50-50. Next slide. So in the official plan, the current official plan, it's the special purpose community area. In the adopted official plan, it's rural as well. Just all rural in the township adopted official plan, and then county and agricultural in the county official plan. Rural and agriculture in the county official plan. Next slide. So a bit hard to see here, but I've added some kind of color to that site plan. The red being the existing house, the green, the existing carport that they'll enclose, and then the blue being the sunroom that will be added to the rear of the house. Just some simple elevations of the enclosure of the carport. You can see that on the right-hand photo there, and then the left-hand photo shows the elevations of the sunroom. And then a floor plan as well, just to see kind of flat what it looks like with the garage to the right, and then the sunroom out to the top of the photo, I guess. So north on Maple, north on Tamarack, south on Maple. Next slide. And south on Tamarack. And the photo on the right is the notice sign that's posted. Both of these photos show that existing carport that will be enclosed. Next slide. And then the photo on the left is from the back of the carport looking at the back of the house. And then the photo on the right is taken from Tamarack, just looking out to the back of the dwelling and where that sunroom will come out. Next slide. Next slide.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. The
Oh, there we go. I didn't know if I was frozen
there
or
was
if
a
you were.
lag in it. Yes.
So after reviewing all the policies, township staff have recommended approval, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Waters. Is there the applicant or an agent for the applicant registered to speak to this application, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Yes, Doug Humphreys is available via Zoom.
Okay, could I ask Mr. Humphreys to open up his microphone? Yes,
Thank you, folks. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. And on behalf of the McDonald's, I want to say thank you for your consideration. As Daniel has so capably presented, there have been a number of chances or opportunities throughout the Big Cedar Estates over the past 2 and 3 and 4 years, where many of the modular homes have been updated. The garages have or carports have been enclosed, and there have been small additions added to them over the time. And as Danielle has so capably noted, half the park at least is within the environmentally protected area. This has been a frustration for both the planning department and for us, trying to figure out who is and who isn't in these things. And we have appreciated the support that the township has given Big Cedar in all of these applications. And on behalf of the McDonald's, we just want to say thank you for your consideration. And I assume that they will be treated the same way as every other applicant. And in the past, we have really appreciated your support, and our application fees have actually been waived due to the frustrations of the Environmentally Protected Act in this area. So if there's any questions, I'll answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Humphreys. Are there any questions from the committee for either Mr. Humphreys or Mr. Whitlip? Yes, Deputy Mayor Greenlaw.
Whatever fits. I think I know who you're talking to. Through you, Chair Lavoie, Mr. Whitlip, what actions can we take to avoid these ongoing EP land issues within Big Cedar?
Through the chair to Mayor Greenlaw, so part of the actions already undertaken, the slide that showed the official plan comparisons would put the entire modular home park into a rural designation. Accordingly, the process that staff intend to see immediately follow the approval of the adopted official plan would be the subsequent update to the township's comprehensive zoning bylaw. One of the many items on the update list for that process in the zoning bylaw is, in the case of Big Cedar, to work with the Conservation Authority and identify the extent to which the environmental protection zone could be peeled back. As Mr. Humphreys has indicated, there have been a number of applications over the years in Big Cedar in the environmental protection zone. Much of the park, approximately 50%, as Ms. Waters indicated, is within the environmental protection zone. We haven't had any issues or objections from the Conservation Authority from a natural heritage or hazard risk standpoint. So it only makes sense to see that zone reduced in its size. So that will come forward through the comprehensive zoning bylaw update, which again, it's staff's intent to commence that as soon as the official plan is approved, which we anticipate to occur late in the summer of this year.
So I guess a supplemental, if I may, hopefully we'll be able to put this thing to rest in late 2013 or early 2014.
Yeah, through the
23
chair,
or 24.
Or sorry, my apologies. I'm in a time. I'm a little behind schedule.
Through the chair, yes, Mr. Mayor, we knew what you meant, and we anticipate the zoning bylaw update process to be much more streamlined than the official plan update. A policy update is a pretty intense and exhaustive process. The zoning bylaw update is a more technical one, and it's really intended to implement the official plan as well as to remedy or correct or improve upon any deficiencies or inconsistencies in the current zoning bylaw. So it's approximate timelines. Of course, these things are always subject to appeal processes, but staff anticipate that it'll go pretty smoothly overall. So, and again, this is an item that's certainly been on that list to address. And as Mr. Humphreys, I think, alluded to, it has been past practice of council. Applicants have requested fee releases, refund of fees subsequent to making their application, and we anticipate that that sort of request will follow this application as well.
Thank you. And then one last question. I just want to kind of hope. I think I know the answer, that we have already engaged with the NBCA in order to start the discussion and the process to help streamline when certification comes through and we get into the zoning bylaw amendments.
Through the chair to Mayor Greenlaw, so certainly staff have generally engaged with the NVCA through the official plan update process, and and the discussions that the zoning bylaw would follow suit. But to be clear, we have not formally initiated a zoning bylaw update process or a formal circulation to the NVCA yet.
Yeah, no, okay. And then if there's any assistance, maybe our council representative on the board can give them the heads up that it's coming. I just, you know, I know everyone hates waiting, and I'm sure, you know, would like to see this resolved in Big Cedar so that we can speed the process for everybody. I appreciate all the work on it, though. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much, Director Whitlib. Any further questions for, Councillor Young?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, just a comment to follow up on your EP land. One of the first matters I dealt with as a council member here was a gentleman there and his wife had been waiting 7 or 8 months to hear back from the NVCA. They had a stream on their property, but I spoke to the representative there, and it was an issue of being short-staffed. So I understand exactly what you're speaking about, and like you say, to streamline the process so residents don't have to wait that length of time. And once they did it, to get it, all they want to do was put a porch on their residence, their old farmhouse. But because of the delay, and it's no fault of the NVCA, it's just an issue of being short-staffed there.
Thank you very much, Councillor Young. And the only comment I'd add is it does seem unfortunate, since it's already zoned residential, that we continue to have this issue. However, nonetheless, is there anyone else registered to speak to this matter, Madam Deputy Clerk?
No, there were no additional registrations received.
Thank you very much. And is there anyone here in the gallery to speak to this matter? There is not. Any further correspondence being received during the meeting, Director Whitlib?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Any further comment or reflection from council members? None. May we now hear the motion, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Moved by Greenlaw, seconded by Bard. It is recommended, 1, that DS 2023-057 Danielle Waters, planner, minor variance application 2023-A28, Big Cedar Oro Residence Association, Angus McDonald, 4044 Line 13 North, 25 Maple Crescent, be received and adopted. 2, that minor variance application 2023-A28, specifically to permit the enclosing of an existing carport in addition to an existing modular home that is located in the environmental protection zone on the lands known as 25 Maple Crescent, be approved, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2023-057. 3, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much for your participation, Mr. Humphreys, and this completes the application process and closes this hearing. A copy of the decision will be mailed out to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has provided written comments or oral comments during the hearing in regards to this application. On to the next matter. So we have item 7A, a report DS 2023-056, Danielle Waters, planner, a request to allow for 2 dwellings at 4613 Line 6 North by Victor, Christopher, and Kimberly Douglas, with reference to item 5C of the council agenda. May we please have a motion for item 7A?
Moved by Young, seconded by Hutchinson. It is recommended, 1, that DS 2023-056 Danielle Waters, planner, request to allow for 2 dwellings at 4613 Line 6 North by Victor, Christopher, and Kimberly Douglas be received and adopted. 2, that committee authorizes the request to temporarily reside within the existing dwelling to a maximum of 18 months from the time of the issuance of the building permit at 4613 Line 6 North, and that the existing dwelling is to be removed after the completion of the new dwelling. 3, that the appropriate bylaw authorizing the temporary agreement be brought forward for council's consideration. 4, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Director of Development Services signature.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from member of councils? No, seeing none. May I please have the vote? All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Item 7B, DS 2023-055, Derek Whitlib, Director, Development Services. Read the official plan amendment application 2022 OPA-03, zoning bylaw amendment application 2022-ZBA-11, and plan of subdivision application 2022 sub 06 by Craighurst Limited Partnership, Craighurst Crossing, part lots 41 and 42, concession 1, EPR Medonte, referred items 5B and C. I presume this is the 7th of May 2023 council agenda. May we please have a motion for item 7B?
Moved by Greenlaw, seconded by Shell. It is recommended that 1, the report number DS 2023-055, Derek Whitlib, Director, Development Services, re-official plan amendment application 2022 OPA-03, zoning bylaw amendment application 2022 ZBA-11, and plan of subdivision application 2022 SUB-06 by Craighurst Limited Partnership, Craighurst Crossing, part lots 41 and 42, concession 1, EPR Medonte, be received and adopted. 2, that official plan amendment application 2022 OPA-03 that would serve to amend the locations and boundaries of the living area designation and the community use area designation on Schedule F, Craighurst Secondary Plan, to the Township of Oro-Medonte official plan be adopted as amendment number 46 to the Township of Oro-Medonte official plan and be forwarded to the County of Simcoe for approval. 3, that zoning bylaw amendment application 2022 ZBA 11 that would rezone the subject lands from the residential 1 exception 301 R1 301 residential 1 exception 301 holding 2 R1 301 H2 institutional exception 311 I-311, agricultural rural, A/RU, agricultural rural exception 15, ARU 15, open space holding 3, OSH3, and environmental protection exception 303, EP 303, to residential 1 exception 301, R1 301, residential 1 exception 301, holding 2 R1 301 H2, residential 2 exception 343, R2 343, open space exception 311, holding 3 OH 311 H3, open space exception 311 and 344, holding 3 OS 311 and 344 H3, and institutional exception 345, I-345 zone on Schedule A14 to zoning bylaw number 9795 as amended be approved. 3, that the appropriate official plan amendment adopting bylaw and zoning bylaw amendment be brought forward for council's consideration. 5, that draft plan of subdivision application 2022 SUB-06, Craighurst Limited Partnership, known as Craighurst Crossing, consisting of 322 single detached residential lots, 78 semi-detached residential lots, 2 park plots 2 and 19, 6 open space blocks 6, 7, 10, 11, and 21, 1 school block 18, 2 stormwater management blocks 5 and 12, 1 wastewater management block 14, 4 communal septic area blocks 13, 20, 24, and 25, 1 pumping station block 4, 1 well block 23, 2 environmental protection area blocks 8 and 9, 3 buffer blocks 1, 15, and 17, 1 servicing block 16, other lands owned by applicant block 26, 2 road widening blocks 3 and 22, and 8 internal streets A through H as shown on Schedule 4 to DS 2023-055 be approved, subject to the conditions as set out on Schedule 4 to DS 2023-055. 6, that the applicant be advised of the decisions under the Director of Development Services signature.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk. Does any member of council need that to be read again? Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from members of council? Seeing none, may I have the vote, please? All in favor? The motion is carried. Item 7C, DS 2023-058, Danielle Waters, Planner Retemporary Trailer Agreement, 19 Matilda Street, Candace Spencer and William Walt, refer to item 5D, 0705-2023 council agenda. May we have, please have a motion for item 7C, Madam Deputy Clerk.
Moved by Bard, seconded by Young. It is recommended, 1, that DS 2023-058, Danielle Waters, Planner, Temporary Trailer Agreement, 19 Matilda Street, Candace Spencer and William Walt be received and adopted. 2, that committee authorizes the request to temporarily reside to a maximum of 6 months from the passing of bylaw 2023-063 in a trailer on the property at 19 Matilda Street, and the trailer is to be removed after the completion of the dwelling. 3, that the appropriate bylaw authorizing the temporary agreement be brought forward for council's consideration, and 4, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Director of Development Services signature.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from members of council? Seeing none, call the vote, please. All in favor? The motion is carried. Madam Deputy Clerk, we are on to the motion to adjourn. Is that correct, or the next meeting date?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. The next meeting date is Wednesday, August 2nd. May I have the motion to adjourn?
Moved by Greenlaw, seconded by Young. It is recommended that we do now adjourn at 6:52 p.m.
Thank you very much. May I call the vote, please? The motion is carried. We are adjourned.
Okay, don't log off. We've got I'm going to call to order the meeting following the Development Service meeting. May I please have the motion to adopt the agenda, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Young, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the agenda for the council meeting of Wednesday, July 5th, 2023 be received and adopted.
All in favor? That is carried. Does anyone have any pecuniary interest to disclose at this time? Seeing none, may we have the motion for the minutes of the previous council meeting, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Hutchinson. Be it resolved that the draft minutes of the council meeting held on Wednesday, June 7, 2023 be received and adopted as printed and circulated.
Are there any changes to the minutes that anyone has, or seeing none? Okay. I'll call a motion. All in favor? And that is carried. May we please have a motion to approve the recommendations of tonight's DSC meeting, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that the recommendations of the Development Services Committee meeting held on Wednesday, July 5th, 2023 be adopted.
All in favor? That is carried. And may we please have a motion for the bylaws, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Hutchinson, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that bylaw numbers 2023-049, 2023-050, as amended to correct set Schedule C, to change a reference in the legend from Residential 1 Exception 343 R1 343 Zone to Residential 2 Exception 343 R2 343 Zone. bylaw number 2023-061, 2023-063 be read a first, second, and third time, passed, be engrossed by the deputy clerk, signed and sealed by the mayor.
Questions or comments? None? All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion for the confirmation bylaw, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Hutchinson, be it resolved that bylaw number 2023-066, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on Wednesday, July 5th, 2023, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, be engrossed by the deputy clerk, signed and sealed by the mayor.
All in favor? That is carried. Now, may we have a motion to adjourn?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Lavoie, be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 6:55 p.m.
All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you in August.